Today on the Unofficial Shopify podcast, we're talking one of my favorite topics, conversion rate optimization. We have Oliver Kenyon from ConversionWise, and I follow Oliver Kenyon on Twitter, and I enjoy his approach, and he'll share like example templates and layouts that I find are great starting points for when I'm like, I just don't want to have to think about a layout too hard, right? I just need to get unstuck. And so I love resources like that. And that's why I reached out and said, you know what, come on the show. Let's talk about it. I want to hear how you got here, your journey. So our friend Oliver Kenyon from ConversionWise, thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
Good, very well, thank you. But most importantly, thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan of the show, so really grateful that you reached out, and hopefully we can give some of your listeners some real kind of actionable and insightful information.
I want to know, how did you get into CRO? What were you doing before you became a CRO expert?
Yeah, I mean, if I told you it was hip hop, would you believe me? That led me all the way to CRO? Probably not.
Are you a rapper or no?
I mean, when I was younger, definitely had a go around about kind of like 16, 17, but definitely not a rapper, 100% not. But I kind of found the online space, I guess, through hip hop. Back in the day when, I'm going to show you my age here, when like Eminem was doing rap battles and 8 Mile, I was obsessed with like hip hop and rap battles, and I came online to read more rap battles. Can you believe it? Like, even before 8 Mile and these kind of video rap battles and in-person rap battles, there are actually people doing it online in text format. So I kind of used to come online, read these rap battles, and one thing led to another, met several people through these communities, started my own community, and met someone who introduced me originally to CPA and affiliate marketing. So my first kind of foray into the online space was basic communities and affiliate marketing. I struggled to find anyone who shared how they made money with affiliate marketing. So I decided to start a community. This was before like Facebook groups, before Discord. I am really showing my age here now. And I created an affiliate marketing community because I just wanted people to come on, join the community and discuss how they made money through affiliate marketing. And I never ever thought it was going to be a business. I never realized I could even monetize a community or a forum. I was still a full-time chef. But that community just started to grow, and people started to ask me if they could advertise on the community. I started to make money via the community, and it was that community that actually led me to quitting as a full-time chef and going kind of doing this whole thing online. Fast forward, one of the affiliate networks on the community saw the aesthetics of the forum. It looked very nice. I hired a good designer to do this really nice landing page and design. And they said, hey, could your designer do me some landing pages for my offers? And I didn't really know what a landing page was, but I guess without knowing it, I had that kind of entrepreneurial spirit in me where I said, yes, but I'm going to manage this and take a cut, right? So I sat in the middle, basically account managed or project managed the design to the kind of guy who was buying the designs, and made a little bit of money in the middle. And with that, I kind of thought, right, let's start this as a business. And I kind of just geeked out on landing pages. I just became obsessed with like building landing page frameworks, best practices, conversion principles, so much so that me and my co-founder actually called our business the Landing Page Guys. So we were literally like the guys, because I became fixated of like, if anyone needs a landing page, they're going to think of the Landing Page Guys. And that's kind of how we ran our business for 8 years. And we built these frameworks and built these landing pages. And yeah, I always kind of originated back to hip hop, but realistically it's affiliate marketing. And then, stumbling across landing pages, which then later turned into CRO and A/B testing and everything that kind of encompasses into conversion rate optimization.
So once you've got the Landing Page Guys, that runs for 8 years. How does that turn into ConversionWise, your current agency business?
Yeah, so the gift and the curse, and again, we're very fortunate that we mentor several other agencies, and people always ask us advice of like getting into an agency and what we do. I think the gift of niching down to being like the landing page guys is like when you're starting out, you stand out against a broad competitor because you are just like putting it out there. We do landing pages. We're the best at landing pages. Come to us if you need your landing pages. The curse of that is as you grow as a business, it pigeonholes you into just landing pages. So what we found is we were now doing a lot of kind of ongoing CRO, conversion rate optimization projects with different businesses and brands that we were starting with other people and that were asking us to do like A/B testing and traditional CRO. But on the front of things, we were still the landing page guys. So we kind of sat down, we had a discussion, me and my co-founder and our leadership team, and we said, let's rebrand. So we put everyone who we loved in a room here in Bristol in the UK. We organised this special evening. And we put everyone we loved and all of our team members in this room, and we unveiled our kind of new name, which was ConversionWise, which just enabled us, I guess, to think a little bit broader, to offer ongoing conversion rate optimization, as well as the landing pages that we still offer today. And that was a kind of business decision to, again, broaden our kind of offering and solution standpoint, but also from a prospecting standpoint, when people were coming to us and saying, oh, you're just the landing page guys, all you do is landing pages. No, we're actually ConversionWise. We deal with conversions, and that's kind of the decision to shift.
So certainly that sounds like no regrets on rebranding. Now that you've made the shift to ConversionWise, how long has it been around?
Around 3 years now.
Okay. And after 3 years of doing this, you're not the only CRO agency, certainly. What do you think sets you apart?
So again, so we've been doing CRO for 12 years. It's just that we were so heavily focused on landing pages. We are the same team, the same company, the same people. We just obviously took that kind of shift from a branding perspective, I guess 3 years to shift into ConversionWise and think a bit more broad. I think what sets us apart is we take more of a heuristic view on CRO. So I always say to people, prospects, people that we partner with, brands that we work with, that we are effectively a performance growth agency, but we have CRO as our framework. And we literally today had a leadership call where we kind of discussed this. Effectively, what we do is we solve problems. We solve problems for you as a brand. We solve problems for your customers when they come to your site and want to purchase. And we take that as from a holistic view. We kind of step back and we say, well, beyond the traditional A/B testing, which is 9 times out of 10 what most CRO agencies fixate over, we speak with a lot of prospects who then speak with other agencies. And we know, most CRO agencies become obsessed with A/B testing and the velocity of testing. But it's very irrelevant to just throw out a number of we will deliver 6 A/B tests per month. What does that even mean? The sake of testing for the sake of testing is irrelevant. Yeah, there's an argument of the more tests we get, the more wins we can get. But really, CRO is problem solving. It's how can we look at your business from a top level view and your acquisition funnel, because 9 times out of 10 we're kind of working on, we look at things like lifetime value, of course we do, but it's how can we turn more clicks into customers at a more effective rate for your business? But how can we do that via CRO and not just A/B testing? So we don't guarantee any velocity of testing, but what we guarantee is we will solve problems for you, and we will work with you typically within a 3-month roadmap to solve your acquisition problem. So that may be testing, but it may be your funnel's not strong enough, or it may be that you're actually selling at the wrong price point, or you haven't done offer testing, or you haven't done usability testing, or actually you're missing something. Because a lot of people, we see a lot of brands where people work with other CRO agencies and they're they wanted to reduce our funnel. The kind of methodology was if we reduce your funnel, more people are likely to get to the most important pages and therefore purchase. But really, we've seen so many case studies and so many scenarios when A/B testing should be the last thing you think about initially, because your funnel or your acquisition funnel is just not set up correctly. For example, I'll give you an example. We work with several large dog brands. We had a call this last week about with a specific brand where they're not just a dog brand. They don't just sell dog food. They sell way beyond that. You get a private veterinary call with a nutritional veterinary specialist that actually caters the dog ingredients to your specific dog. You get a tracker on your mobile via an app. You also get supplements plus the food. However, that's a lot to sell on a traditional homepage. To get that value across and that amount of kind of value across on a traditional homepage is going to be very hard to do. But they work with a previous CRO agency where they're let's cut the funnel down, let's send people straight to the product page, let's get them the information and get them to sell. When we came in, one thing we did is we took a holistic view, we zoomed out, we said, actually, we need to lengthen this funnel. The biggest problem you have here is pre-educating your prospects on the value of your specific offer. So, for example, we'll then say, okay, well, within that first 3 month or that kind of quarterly roadmap, we're not going to be doing too much A/B testing. What we're going to be focusing on is designing, copywriting, and building your pre-purchase funnel for example, using something like listicles or advertorials or editorial content that really pre-sells the product, so that, yeah, you'll probably get fewer clicks through to that product page, but the people that actually do go through are way more educated, way more aware of the value and your uniqueness of your offer, that A, they're going to be purchasing more, and B, they're going to stick around more because they get it. So I think our difference is we will look across the business. We're very well connected, so we'll suggest if your retention needs improvement, we can have a look at your creative and meta strategy and suggest people, or we can give feedback based on that as well. So it's more of a top level view. It's more consultative what we do.
And well, that makes sense, right? A consultative approach. And so the criticism of other CRO agencies is they're focused on quantity of deliverable. If I can just up that number on total split tests, well, that's the thing that they'll compare, and that'll be like, well, when they compare these proposals, that's the one they'll select. And of course, I could make random tests all day. It's not. There's no guarantee any of those are going to be particularly helpful without the research that goes into it.
Yeah, and I think research is obviously very important. We can deep dive into that if we want, but I think we speak to so many prospects where they're like, well, CRO agency A and B are promising us X amount of tests per month. How many do you promise? And we're like, none. Like, honestly, none.
Plus
because
one.
That might, yeah, plus one for $1 less. But like, it's honestly, the answer is none. We don't guarantee any velocity of testing because that might not be what you need within that given framework to achieve your specific goals with your brand. So we look at it a lot more holistically, basically.
A loaded question in conversion rate optimization is best practices.
Yeah.
Best practices meaning that there are certain immutable laws of design and marketing funnels that everyone must obey these. And if you don't obey these, then you won't have the right conversion rate optimization. And therefore, we don't actually have to test anything because we just know these work. And if we apply those and they don't work, well, that's a problem somewhere else in the funnel that we didn't know about. Where do we fall on? I'm winding you up, but where do you fall on best practices?
I have a very clear answer on this, and one that I'm willing to stick by and die on this hill. But there are 100,000% best practices within CRO, 100,000%. However, you will never get as good of results as if you do qualitative and quantitative research. So marrying the two is where you get the most effective test to winning test ratio. However, 100,000%, there are definitely best practices when it comes to landing pages, layouts, conversion principles, elements that should be on your page. And we proved it time and time again. Don't forget, I sit on both sides because for 8 years and for our design side of the agency, it's 100% our business is built on best practices. On the ongoing solution, the ongoing CRO, conversion rate optimization, testing, usability, etc., qualitative, quantitative, that's where you have the biggest uplift. When you're a brand of a certain size, and we always do this based on volume. So if you are doing under 100,000 sessions per month on your store or across your brand, you are far better, or you're going to get way more effective results at a better cost by taking bigger swings. So that's where I fully believe and have seen it hundreds, if not thousands of times. Best practices do exist. Ticking boxes, social proof, trust and credibility, authority, handling objections, getting your value proposition across, effective copy. I can go on and on and on. We can go into specifics, but when you are above that 100,000 sessions, taking those biggest swings can sometimes be detrimental to your store and have negative effects, especially if you're, for example, getting repeat customers. I use this analogy quite a lot, but what we see is a big mistake by big brands who are doing like over 100,000 sessions per month is when they all of a sudden say, hey, our competitors have got a new site, we want to completely launch a new site. And typically what that means is you'll hire an expensive agency, it'll take 6 to 9 months, it tends to take longer than you expect. You don't rely on data, you don't look into, you hire a design agency that aren't really CRO focused or performance focused. And by the way, there's some great ones that do exist, but typically web design agencies just focus on kind of like brand, like, oh, we should just have this minimalistic design that's sexy because Nike do it so we can get away with it, right? And the biggest issue here is if you have repeat customers and all of a sudden you completely change your store, those customers are going to be lost. And I use the analogy of like a grocery store. Like, let's say you and I shop every single week in a specific grocery store. We have our itemized list of quite boring people, so we buy the same product every week. We know exactly where to go for our chicken, our cheese, our milk, our water, whatever it may be. We just, without even thinking, we just know where to go in that store. We know exactly where to go and check out. We know the clerk that we like at the checkout, and we have a really good relationship with her, and she gives us a bit of banter, and we speak to her every single week. We know the exit. We skip out of the exit because it's so easy to find, and we don't think twice about going back to that store every single week, and we never look at a competitor. All of a sudden, if you're a big brand and you're doing a lot of repeat purchases and you completely change things, this is like us going back to that grocery store the week after, and I walk into the entrance and shit, where's the door? Like, it's gone, it's moved. Okay, I can't get into the store. The first thing I have to do is try and find the entrance. Now I'm going to go buy my products around the store, and I honestly don't know where they've gone. The chicken's not in the same place, the milk's not in the same place, the cheese has moved. I'm really becoming frustrated now that I can't just pick up these items that I do subconsciously and just pick them up. And then I finally find my items that have taken me twice as long, and I want to go to the checkout to pay for the items, and they're in a completely different place in the store. And I become frustrated because I can't find that checkout. How do I get there? There's some upsells in my way. People are throwing different products in my way that weren't there before. And then, I finally get to the checkout. I can't use the same payment method. The same clerk that I normally have the banter with has left. She's not there anymore. I finally pay for my item, and I'm trying to get out the store, and the exit's changed. And the whole thing is a frustrating experience. And this is why 9 times out of 10, we see this time and time again, when you do these things on your store, the repeat customers suffer, your conversion rates actually go down, and it takes a long way to kind of recover that side of things.
Okay, but if the site looks really minimal and branded and subtle and sophisticated, and I'm the owner and I started this and my personality is wrapped up in it, if the brand and the website is cool, then I'm cool too. And isn't that worth losing a little bit of conversion rate and hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue?
I'd ask you as a brand. To me, no. It depends what your objective and goal is. Yeah, exactly. It depends what your outcome is. So I think that's where, above that 100,000 sessions, it's qualitative and quantitative data. It's marrying the two. It's best practices, but it's having the data to back up that assumption based on your demographic and what your prospects and your audience does. Then it's kind of A/B testing, and we use the phrase all the time, like iterate to success. It's like we iterate via winning tests, and we can update that design, we can update that brand on the variant that we're testing, but it's not a massive change, it's not a big swing. It's iterating to success, and under the 100,000, take those big swings. Best practices definitely exist. Landing pages are your best bet, and that's how you're going to acquire customers at a cheaper cost per acquisition.
You very rarely do you run into a situation where it's like a hugely dramatic change, unless, and if you did get into one, then it often is indicative that something was just straight up broken before and no one caught it. But okay, we've touched on a little bit, but walk me through your typical process for diagnosing and improving conversion rates.
Yeah, absolutely. So on our ongoing CRO service, we spend probably tends to be 3 to 4 weeks of our kind of initial kickoff deep in data. So there's a couple of non-negotiables we need as a CRO agency to effectively draw a picture of your demographic and create a roadmap of kind of where we want to go to after. Those things are GA4 properly set up. Now, a lot of people have GA4, but a lot of people have problems with Google Analytics. So making sure that it's correctly set up and tracking across the whole funnel so we can see where the bottlenecks are, where people are bouncing, where drop-offs are happening. That's like a non-negotiable yes. A non-negotiable number 2 is surveys. So 2 types of surveys. One, post-purchase survey. So for those of your listeners who aren't aware what that is, that's simply a survey that sits on the confirmation step of your store. You purchase the product, and then on that confirmation step, it says, hey, thank you so much for your purchase today. Would you just mind taking 2 minutes out of your day to answer a couple of questions so that we can make the experience better in the future for other customers and you and yourself? Now, what you want to ask in that post-purchase survey are a couple of really important questions. You can go product specific, but the broad questions you need to be asking are 1, why did you purchase today? And 2, what almost stopped you from purchasing today? Now,
that's
the second question, there you go, right?
What almost stopped you? If you didn't make a purchase today, what stopped you? If you
Yeah.
almost didn't purchase, why? Because
Exactly.
those are the objections.
There you go. So as you rightly just said, that gives you so much data and commonalities between your audience, because what you'll find is like 100% of the audience, 70% of them will be saying the same thing. It'll be like a common objection of like, let's take a supplement product, for example. We just didn't know how long it takes to see results, or we didn't know what the daily dosage was, or we didn't know how many pills were included in a bottle, or how long that lasted me. Is it a month supply? Is it not? You'll get all of these common objections that you can then take and utilize on the front end to handle that friction point, that objection, that want, that need of your typical demographic of your customer. So we'll always ask those questions post-purchase. We'll also post-purchase. We'll also do exit intent surveys. Really interestingly, a lot of people utilize exit intent surveys for the wrong reasons. A lot of people think that they should use the exit intent surveys to get people back. That's not what an exit intent survey is designed for. The exit intent survey is designed to understand why someone exits, so that you can handle that objection when that other person, who's going to be a similar looking person within the demographic, comes back. So we were on a call a couple of weeks ago with a brand that's doing around 150 million per year. And they said to me, they were like, we couldn't get exit intent surveys working. Like, we tried to set them up, but none of the people were coming back. We were offering like coupons, discounts, etc. And we were like, that's because you're using them wrong. Like, you need to ask people why they're leaving, because it's not about capturing that person and bringing them back. It's about capturing the reason why that person's leaving, because normally you'll find these commonalities again in those surveys of exits. We'll always set that up. So we've got GA4, we've got surveys. We tend to, as a non-negotiable, set up heat map software. So whether that's something like Clarity, which is free. We also like to use heatmap.com. Shout out to Dylan Ander, a friend of mine, because heatmap.com will track based on revenue generated from clicks and not just clicks, which is really insightful.
So we always like to see Clarity now too.
You might be able to. That's typically what we'll use Heatmap for, but they may have recently updated that for sure. Typically, what a Heatmap software will do will tell you like where the velocity of clicks are happening, but they won't attribute a monetary amount to those clicks, because what we've seen, especially using something like heatmap.com, is like sometimes the lesser clicked buttons are actually generating you more revenue. So you can make more revenue informed decisions based on click, but we'll also be looking into things like scroll maps, movements, etc. And then we'll gather that data. So if you haven't surveyed your audience, we'll go out and send an email to your audience. The easiest way to do this, and you don't have to use us to do this, but any brands listening who haven't surveyed their audience, all you need to do is start with your like VIP list. So like segment in Shopify for like repeat customers that are purchasing from you a lot. Segment them in Klaviyo, whatever ESP you use, and send out a broadcasted email that says, take 2 minutes to answer these questions and we'll enter you into a draw for a $100 Amazon gift card. Now, we've tried everything, by the way. We've tried discount, we've tried free products, we've tried Groupon, not Groupon, what's the Uber Eats, vouchers, etc. Amazon is the one that works the best. So just offer a free entry into an Amazon gift card, and then you can ask those questions. So don't sit here listening to this going like, oh, Oliver said I should have had post-purchase set up and I missed all that data. You still got that data in the form of an email. So just go and create a type form or something to survey your customers. So we'll always gather that data. We'll gather the analytics, the heat maps, the tracking, etc. We'll then do UX UI walkthroughs. So we'll actually go through your store, mobile, desktop, tablet. We'll actually purchase your product, get to know the kind of whole feeling. And that's another test that anyone could do, right? Like how many people are actually buying their own product on their own store? When was the last time you actually went to your store and purchased your own product to see the experience? There might be a button that's a bit misaligned. There might be something that's confusing and that pisses you off within your funnel. Like imagine if it pisses you off, what it does to your customers. So like definitely go and buy your own product. I think that's a big tip. But we'll do all the usability.
That one sounds so basic, and yet nobody does it.
Right.
The number of things that we've uncovered by just making a purchase. Like I'll just be like, oh, a client sells something, I need it, I buy it. And then I'm like, man, and I'm not blaming the merchant. In this example, I didn't make a purchase either, right?
Yeah.
But the moment you make that actual test purchase on a real device, suddenly you reveal the issues that may be on the site. But really, I think even better than doing it yourself, watch over the shoulder of someone who's not done it before, and then definitely uncover the 100%. Issues.
Yeah, that's a great method of doing it, either in person or we do usability testing. So there are services where you can actually pay people to purchase products and they do screen recordings and give you feedback. And so we'll always do that as well. So we kind of marry.
I go across the walkway, across the lobby from my building, walk into the Starbucks and just harass some strangers until they politely ask me to leave. Yeah,
love it. So that's a great way of doing it. So yeah, we basically, there's more to it, but it's qualitative and quantitative. It's, looking at the numbers and the analytics and surveying your customers and heat maps versus usability walkthrough, actually buying the product, user testing. And that typically lasts around 3 to 4 weeks. It takes us 3 to 4 weeks to kind of do all that research. We then combine that research into a full audit. So 9 times out of 10, that audit's between 100 and 150 pages, and it sounds boring and sounds in-depth, but it's some of the most insightful lessons you can learn as a brand, not just for your site. I think that's what CRO is as well. It's like we unearth findings around your prospects and your demographic that can be used across your whole business. So it can be used for retention. It can be used on your acquisition. Your media company can use this. Your creative company can use this. And we like to meet each single key person who's involved with all those specific tasks so that we can kind of almost centralize the message, because there has to be congruency between like ad and page, for example. So we speak to the team members, and then we'll present the audit to you. And at the end of the audit is where the kind of magic happens, because what the audit allows us to do is create a roadmap and a hypothesis or a test ranking system that we use the PXL framework. It's not ours, it's a CXL framework called PXL, where we rank test ideas and hypotheses based on how easy they are to implement, how much impact we think they'll have, are they above the fold, are they noticeable within 5 seconds? And then we'll kind of start working through that test roadmap. Sometimes, as I mentioned, it's not just about tests. We might say like, we're not going to do anything on month 2 when it comes to A/B testing, because we want to build you out a listicle and an advertorial and split test your attribution from ad to then clicking through. So it's very much consultative. It's very much not just about the velocity and A/B testing, but we'll come with this roadmap. And then it's kind of like a very English expression, but it's off to the races. It's like we start, we design, we develop, we copyright, we manage, and we're just constantly keeping you updated with the performance of any given experiment or test or a landing page or whatever that may be.
So well, hold on. I had a good follow. Okay. What's the expected timeline for outcome of results here, right? If I'm the merchant, I want things to happen sooner rather than later. What do you say to people who expect instant results from CRO?
I think you need to look at CRO as a long-term activity. We try to get a couple of tests up and running within the first month, but they're very much quick wins, and they very much don't always win. So I think anyone who runs a CRO agency or has, I feel like I have a responsibility in the CRO space to, I guess, educate and tell the truth. That's something I've always stood by. More tests will lose than win. Like the losing test will outweigh the winning test times 10, but that one winning test will times the losers by 100. So you're always after that one winning test. But I think CRO is more about a holistic view again of like problem solving across the whole brand. And it has to be a learning activity. A lot of tests lose, so you have to learn why those tests lose. And we always do pre-test analysis, whether it's a winning or losing test. So it's always like, okay, we're presenting this to you as a losing test. We understand it lost because of this. We're going to therefore change something in the next test. But anyone who has a realistic expectation on CRO should not be thinking in months or weeks. They should be thinking in 6 to 12 months at least as a framework to grow your year-on-year revenue and profitability within the business. It's not a quick fix, but we hope to get you quick wins. That's for me as a business owner and for our teams, the best scenario, and it doesn't always happen, honestly it doesn't, is when we have a win in month 1 that's say like $1,000 incremental increase to your monthly revenue, and then we get into the roadmap. But that happens 1 out of 6-7 times. It's a long-term play.
And in this space, certainly we're not immune from AI encroaching into everything. Like we see you mentioned use Microsoft Clarity. It can do summaries of results with mixed results itself. on AI, but it's, it's quick. So I always check it. But what role does AI play in ConversionWise's approach? If at all?
Yeah, no, it does. It definitely does. I think AI, from a deliverability standpoint for us as a business, has just sped everything up. So it's as you've kind of listened to in this pod, is like data is everything within CRO. It's 50 to 80% of the battle, right? So like it's very much important, and we used to have to, we call it like filter or mine data manually. So like, let's say, for example, we're working with a large brand and they have over 100,000 responses to their post-purchase survey. We used to have to go through that line by line, and it would take weeks to kind of spot commonalities. What we're always doing in data is we're looking for the common trend. What's the common objection? What's the tone of voice? What's buzzwords that a lot of people are using? What's the tonality of your customers? And that was always a manual process. It would take days, literally days, and it was a role of a kind of VA to go through and to extract all that important arsenal that we can use in our testing roadmaps. Now we can feed something into ChatGPT, for example, and prompt it to analyze hundreds of thousands of rows of data within minutes. So, we can feed in that spreadsheet of survey responses, and instead of manually going through each line, we can say, go through this and pull out any friction, any objections, any common buzzwords that are used, tonality, tone of voice, and we can kind of get to results a lot quicker. Again, like reviews is one, right? So we do the same with reviews. So we'll look at reviews, but we work with several kind of 8 and 9 figure brands where they have literally hundreds of thousands of reviews. And that would be very much a manual process of mining those reviews, going through, spotting why people say the product's so good and why they love it, and those kind of buzzwords. But now we can just export a spreadsheet, feed it into the AI, and it can tell us in minutes. So for us, it's all about a time saver. On the design side of the business, copywriting is included with every single one of our landing pages. And we have 3 full-time copywriters, but they definitely do use AI as a starting point to feed in data and information about your specific brand, and then say, come up with a kind of landing page copy based on our best practices and our frameworks and our rules that we feed it. And then it's a kind of a manual, let's edit, let's move things around, let's change things, but it's speed. That's what we use it for, speed of execution.
100%. If it improves, I think, quality and quantity of output. And so when you're using it appropriately, as opposed to just like a shotgun approach to generating things, right, for a more nuanced, focused purpose, it's really powerful at just getting things done faster, better. And it sounds like that's the approach you're taking.
100%. Speed of execution.
One thing I want to know from you that I'm sure you have an opinion on. Give me one thing merchants should stop doing right now if they want better conversion rates. I know there's something that drives you nuts.
Yeah, several things. I mean, again, I have this strong thing around the kind of completely rebranding your site based on like a kind of a brand or a feel, neglecting performance or neglecting, necessities to actually convert people into customers. If you're going to do that, work with an agency who understands CRO and looks into the data and does it from a technical aspect. Don't just work with a brand agency that are just going to completely change your site for the kind of reasons I've already explained. I think that's one kind of big mistake we see happen a lot. I think one thing that's a common kind of occurrence between all brands, anyone who typically will own a product or an agency or a software, or it doesn't matter, we get very much too clever with our messaging. So like, I've been guilty of this before. Because we eat, sleep, live, breathe our brand or our product or our agency or our SaaS or our membership, we, I guess, wrongfully assume that prospects know as much as we do about what it is we're trying to sell. And therefore, we tend to try to be too clever, and we talk about shiny objects and features. And, it kills me when I go to a website and people with that main headline are trying to be like really clever with the wording, and there's like encrypted messages in there. And like, the only way you can combat this is like to keep it simple, stupid. Like I always say, treat people like they're 5 years old. Tell them exactly what you're selling and the outcome that they're going to get. And that is like a mistake I see so many times, that like people try to get really clever with the wording of their headline or the way they try to sell things, that they neglect actually telling their prospect what it is they're selling and how that prospect is therefore going to benefit and the outcome they're going to get. So that's a common occurrence that we kind of see quite a lot.
Again, it's that brand owner ego sneaking up in there, right?
Yeah.
Because like the really clever copywriting, that's fun. You're like, wow, I am so smart. This is so clever for like the 1% of the planet that'll actually know what the heck I'm talking about. And they still won't be even if they know what you mean, they're like, I'm not confident here.
Yeah.
And for that reason, even though it's not fun, clarity, being clear in your messaging
100%.
always trumps clever. And I love
100%.
clever. It kills me to admit that, but Joe, my gosh, just be clear. Right?
Yeah.
That's the hack.
100%. 100%. I think headlines and copy are so powerful. Use something like Hemingway app that just gives you a score rating based on like how simple your content is. And yeah, I think just write on that kind of like 5th grade, like it just needs to be so simple of like, this is what we're selling and this is what you're going to get out of it. You can then get clever further down the page and you can have the feature sections, but it's very cliche, but like, features tell, benefits sell, and it's all about like, what am I going to get out of purchasing this product? And I think so many times that gets neglected, and people are like, they're so proud of their product that they just forget the customer, and they just talk about like why they're so proud of it and why it's like got extra battery life and zoom and all these things that are irrelevant to the actual outcome you're going to get from purchasing it. So that's a common mistake we see a lot as well. It's definitely within neglecting, I guess, the prospect and the reason someone's buying it, and actually just communicating that with them, and just being lazy enough to expect that they're going to know this with your clever copy and your features that you're showing off.
Is there a CRO myth that particularly frustrates you?
Ooh, a myth. Yeah, I mean, I guess going back to that best practice, scenario, I've spoken and listened to so many podcasts. I've been in the industry for so long that, a lot of CRO agencies debunk that myth and say there isn't best practices. I agree with you. There is definitely a better way of doing it. Marrying the data with the kind of front end stuff. But there is 1,000% best practices. There are conversion principles that you should have on your landing pages and your pages, particularly above the fold, that will 100% make you convert better. So I think, like I say, my big thing is like, I'm probably the only CRO agency that kind of says, yes, there are best practices and you should have them on your page regardless of what you're doing. I think a lot of people like to say there isn't because they want to, sell you on a longer contract, or, they want to kind of do it that way. But that's definitely not us. I think CRO best practices do exist, and I'm willing to die on that hill. We've seen it time and time again. I could audit. I would literally put my house on the fact that I could audit someone's site, suggest best practices based on conversion principles, and if they implemented it, their conversion rates would go up. The myth that I hate to debunk is the whole fact around conversion rates, that conversion rates matter. Conversion rates don't matter. What matters are revenue per session, or looking at your business as a whole. So anyone can increase conversion rates. We just reduce the price. We just slash our prices by 100%, and your conversion rate is going to go through the roof. So stop fixating on that conversion rate. What you really want to look at is conversion rate plus AOV. And that's going to give you a revenue per visitor, or, how much you're going to be making per visitor to your site. And that's a far better metric to then monetize, because you really just want to be making more per click effectively.
I think that is a great place to end this conversation. I love that as our closing advice from you. Yeah. Okay. Where can listeners go to learn more about you and ConversionWise?
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. Just follow me on social media at Oliver Kenyon on X, LinkedIn, etc. We put out so much free content, really actionable insights that people can hopefully go and implement and increase their conversions. But
stuff
if you did
that
want to work with
use
us,
in our agency
I appreciate
business.
that. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That means a lot from you. But if people actually want to inquire and work with us, just get on a free discovery call. Let's get on a call. Let's understand your business. Let's suggest if we think we can help you. And that's just conversionwise.com. We'd love to speak with you.
Oliver Kenyon, conversionwise.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been really great.